Don't you think that in a garden hobby such as this, with all the family involved, wives, children, close to nature, and what can be closer to nature than our native variety of birds?
Well, I totally agree, and I think it would be a great help if more people could be encouraged to take up the keeping and breeding of British birds. And I think it would help to prevent so much vandalism, trouble that we have.
Peter, I think I must express mine, I'm sure you'll join me, our appreciation to Derek Olmo and his wife Julian for entertaining us so well this afternoon.
Indeed.
And enjoying the privacy of their particular habitat.
Yes, they've got a wonderful setup here. Marvellous range of aviaries and a very nice bird room. But of course, it isn't everybody that can manage to do that. But I don't think that this is really necessary today. British birds can be bred in small pens, say about a cube, 1 metre cube, and still get some very good results.
Well, the emphasis in this garden is devoted entirely to British birds, and also attempts being made at hybridizing with the various species. And the habitat is also varied, from large aviaries planted to smaller aviaries inside and outside. So Derek has, to my mind, he has the perfect combination, and the results often speak for themselves.
I'm sure they do. He certainly has a marvellous setup, but again I would say that you don't have to have this to still be able to keep, breed and exhibit and enjoy the British birds.
I appreciate what you said. I think you and I have been around for a long time, and we've seen all sorts of situations. I've even seen thrushes bred in a tea chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and very successfully too.
Yes.
Now, if they can breed in those circumstances, to my mind, they'll breed anywhere.
Well, if birds are looked after, they come into proper breeding condition, then they will breed. It's a matter of attention to detail. Sometimes it's called beginner's luck, but there's no such thing. It's merely attention to detail.
Well, you've certainly got that here, and you not. And I know of other successful people who've got the same devotion to duty.
Yeah.
Peter, I don't know how you feel about it, but I've enjoyed this little tete-a-tete very much. Have you not?
Yes, it's quite an experience, isn't it?
It is. And I hope viewers of this video film will enjoy what follows as much as we have enjoyed introducing the subject.
Making it.
The most important thing in keeping birds is getting pleasure out of keeping them, breeding and exhibiting your birds. Put nest pans in and conifers and ample perches. If possible, softwood perches. Variation in perch size as well. This is the feeding place. Dish of blue moor and golden pleasure, dish of grit, dish of British Finch mixture and a bath water. These are the first birds we put in this aviary, a pair of mealy reptiles. Pair of bullfinches. You can see peanut and not roof aviary there. This is a pair of mealy reptiles again. a cinnamon mealy hen and a cinnamon carrier cock. Pair of siskins, cocks filling away there. These are ideal birds for beginners. Then in this aviary, a pair of twites showing close attention to another and wanting to be fed. Best way of sexing these is red rum. Then we go into bird shed. Again, a nice well designed bird shed laid out with different size cages for different purposes. Some for muling with, some for breeding striped British and hybrids in. As well, when you're showing, it's handy if you have different size cages. Some birds settle up in larger cages, some in smaller cages. So if you design a shed with different variation of cages, you have a different angle to play for. As well, there's a judging stand there with show cages on top, at right height to judge your birds in. This is other view at shed, with stock cages and breeding pens there. These breeding pens are 6 foot long, be 2 foot high and 4 foot deep. I find these very easy to breed birds in. You can control your birds, how your birds at winter, and I usually put most of young birds in here. We go on now to start at breeding season. First pair of birds that paired up were a pair of dunnocks, edge sparrows. Ideal bird to start off with soft bills. This is an edge sparrow hen sat on eggs. Later on, young edge sparrows hatched, and young one there sat, hen coming feeding. As you can see, feeding mealworms. That's the basic diet with soft bills I feed. Just mixed seed, mealworms, occasionally when they first hatch a few locusts. These birds are very hardy. All through winter they only really live on seed, and then in breeding season they go on to eat live food. These edge sparrows a bit older that I've took away from parents and put in this new aviary. With soft bills and territory birds, it is ideal to take the young birds away, because the old cocks do show aggression to your young birds. So as soon as the birds have got the full tail and feeding themselves, I take them out of the aviary and put them in another area. These are young edge sparrows, as you can see. And then it goes again to nest again. Now this is second nest edge sparrows, blue eggs sat there. So we go on now to mealy reptiles. This is a hen sat on eggs looking at us. I have a soft spot for mealies. I like mealies. This is me now just checking some young mealies that's hatched off. Gently trying to coach hen off at nest, feeling it nest and feeling the young ones about age to ring. Try and take one out at a time. They're a bit small, these chicks, looking, but I'll ring one just in case they don't get too big another day. It's far better to ring them at a younger age and then check them day after. Make sure the ring hasn't slipped back of it knuckle. This is probably the hardest thing we've got to do in hobby, is ring young chicks from 5 to 7 to 8 days old. So I usually start with biggest chick in nest and ring it. 3 front close together. Gently full ring over its knuckle. Make sure it's running freely. Check there it rings freely. Then put it back. I just ring one at a time and then following morning ring another one. These are adult mealies now, picking up chickweed. My basic diet in rearing is as much chickweed as I can get. I do go through a dustbin bag liner a day. Egg food, which we'll show you how to mix later on. Soap seed, and just normal seed. This is another nest of mealies, sat looking over at nest now. Hens about just to come and start to feed. That's the old cinnamon blackbird cocky in the background. You can hear him singing. Them's young Mealy squeaking to be fed. Old Mealy hen feeding. There looks to be a good healthy nest full there. Sexing Mealies can be a problem. What I generally do now is to take a few feathers out of the breast birds when they finish moulting about November time. Put them back onto colour feed, and cocks come through with red on like a linnet cock in a moon shape. Hens come through normal. You can have a good idea to sex some cocks and hens without that, but to be double sure, I'd advise you just to take a few feathers out. It's something I really don't like doing, drawing feathers, but if you keep a bed all year and then you suddenly realise you've got wrong sex, it is a disappointing. This is another Mealy hen. This actually is rearing a Isabel greenfinch as well. There's a young Mealy there, and Mealy hens feeding Isabel greenfinch just out of shot there. This occurred because her eggs were clear, and I took a couple of eggs out of nest that were too many eggs in, and she's successfully rearing these two. Once you get Mealy hens rearing, you do find they are beautiful rearers, no problems at all. Looking to clear the nest out there, see. In recent years, these mutations have come to front. These are cinnamon Mealies. Cinnamon hen, they are feeding young ones in nest. These cinnamon reptiles are coming now with some nice markings and bib showings and really nice rich colour. Development we've made in this abnormal coloured section of hobby is tremendous for the last 5 or 6 years. That's due to some good work from certain people in the hobby. Those people I know what I mean. Be on with another nest of Mealy. This is the best old hen actually, that produced some really nice young birds. Bred 2 really nice young cocks last year, and it's finished up breeding some nice Mealies this year. This nest's above door, and there's 3 different nesting sites there together, and it uses them alternative. They'll actually lay eggs back in nest when the young one's still in nest. They only incubate for about 11 days, and I said they'll lay up again before they've left nest. These are that nest of Mealies that's just left there. They're a bit older. That's left and being squeaky, wanted feeding. There's a couple more Mealies out here already left nest. That's a normal, which turns out to be a cinnamon carrier. They're from a carrier cock and a cinnamon hen. Used Leylandii as nesting sites and cover. It really looks natural. I don't like to see a bare aviary or bare cage. That's part of British bird keeping, is its natural environment. And Leylandii serves its purpose very well, I think. These nest baskets as well, you can see, are very natural. The interwoven wicker baskets with moss lining. The birds take to these better than old plastic ones. Doesn't make a lot of difference to the birds. All they want is a good site in a cup nest. But with moss surrounds, they do get that natural air and dampness going through for better egg hatching, more moisture, and in theory you should get less dead in shell. We come on now to green finches. This is a satinet greenfinch hen paired to a young cock from last year, a satinet carrier. Young cocks can be very aggressive. You've got to keep an eye on them. Early on in breeding season they can be really keen with the hen, but as season goes on they usually quieten down, and when the hen gets on with nesting they turn out to be really good parents. If you do find a cock like a greenfinch or a chaffinch or something that's been too aggressive at hen, is to catch it up and just cut a few flights off one of its wing. This restricts its movement and its flight and gives hen upper end when they come to pairing up and flying round. Cocks not being able to dominate it. This is me trying not to disturb her hen. Try and look at nest without disturbing her with a little mirror to see if eggs are fertile. You can usually tell how dark they are and see how many there is. If it comes that I've got to transfer eggs, I'd like to know how many eggs is in each nest and how many is full. This is another nest of greenies in a nest pan which I'm just about to try and ring. Same procedure again. Hold your cheek firmly but gently. Front 3 claws out. Ring gently over till you come to the knuckle. Take your time, then pull it over and pull your back claw out. Make sure it's free like that. Put them back. When you get a hen that's you've bred with before and there's no problem with ring rejection, you can ring alt nest. I only a bit careful putting alt rings on in a nest on young and flighted birds. If it's an hen that I've bred before, I usually ring alt nest morning and night and there's not much problem. That problem with rejection of rings is a thing that we're gradually going away with. Far less problem today than it used to be years since. Same again to you. Back claw free. Make sure it rings free. I usually take all numbers down when I catch birds up when they're fully feathered and take them away from parents. That's when I write the ring numbers down, what they're bred of, and keep a record of them. Another nest of mutation greenfinches, half reared. This is a silver hen sat on eggs. These are young cinnamon greenfinches, which are from a Isabel hen, a cinnamon cock which is carrying Isabel. There's 4 beautiful young chicks in there here. Cock's really feeding them well. That's as good a shot you ever see. This pair went on to breed numerous young birds. Cock's cleared nest away. This is pairs here. That's Isabel hen and that's cinnamon cock. Enjoying a welcome break from feeding. There's a normal greenfinch hen which I was running in trios in here. I usually do that with greenfinches. Then if your cock is a young cock, which mainly I keep, he has a couple of hens to keep him happy. Then some young silver green finches just come out of the nest, just starting to move round. That same flight, there's a cinnamon red ball there, and silver hen, mother in background.
Mum, what are you doing?
This is family pet. This is Jay. Wife talking to this. It does say a lot more things than what it actually says on this little bit of video.
Come on, what are you doing?
Everybody's fascinated with this bird. So if you listen to this,
What are you doing? Come on,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Rings like phone. There's many a time I've gone running up garden path, times at phone it's been that Jay that's been ringing.
What are you doing? Come on. Come on. Kiss a kiss. Kiss a kiss. Kiss a kiss.
Ziggy's dog name, by the way, is what it's saying, Ziggy. Alright, Jay getting a kiss. I can't even give her a kiss. Best when it laughs. You'll listen to it when it laughs. It must be only Jay country with a broad Yorkshire accent.
Come here, kiss a kiss. 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 What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
These are old pair of Jays at bottom flight. I've had these a long time now. Beautiful Jays to look at, beautiful colours. These are real tame. Kids go up and feed them. This is a nice example of Jays I've seen in recent years, and I've never shown them. Very hard to breed Jays. This is where the nest was. These are young Jays of the left nest. Very easy to feed, just pellets, just layers pellets. Just rear them with a few mealworms, egg food. And they breed and live for years and years on these layers pellets. Days have gone when we used to feed them all soft food and insect food. You still can do that if you want, but I find layers pellets. These are three young ones there. Two old ones in background and three young ones in foreground. The young one lies over and knocks cameraman over. This goes on as well to yellowhammers. It's the yellowhammer cock from last year and end there. Beautiful coloured bird, yellowhammer. Bright yellow colour. That's a young one in nest. These are insective in breeding season. What I'm trying to do with breeding birds is to try and make it simple. And I'll try only to feed basic live food, which is easy available. As I say again, in mini worms and ordinary regular mealworms. These are young ones, a bit older here. We go on to the next shot. This is grizzled blackbirds. This is cock. Bit unhappy with camera being there. There's a hedge sparrow as well in this flight. These have 5 or 6 nests, this hedge sparrow. I had a nest hedge sparrows this year, by the way, with 6 young in that I've never heard of seen before. This is a grizzle hen on eggs. She's sat there content. This is the old blackbird cock, cinnamon carrier. Singing in joint spring day. Picking mealworms up there. He's got a normal hen with 3 young, which they'll come and feed. They're a lot more shy to feed when we're inside Ava with video. You have to understand that. That's the hen down, just picked up quickly, say. Young ones at nest, you see the beaks gaping. Hen's about to come in now and feed. And feeding them. Hoping for some cinnamon hens in this nest. Again, ideal bird for a beginner, blackets and thrushes. Live a long time, have very little ailments. Only problem, they need a lot of room to keep. They'll breed in a small 6x3 aviary, but then when you're showing them, you need a larger cage. And if you're line breeding them, you've got to have numerous pairs. So if you do go into these type of birds, you've got to be prepared to give a certain amount of room up for blackies and thrushes. Starlings as well, jays, magpies. They're about age when I go in to ring them. This is me trying to take young ones out to ring now. They're a bit large to ring, but I should just be able to get ring on. Same procedure again. Hold your cheek firm and gently. Front 3 claws, onto the knuckle. Check that your ring is big enough to go on. Then gently twist and gently ease it over the knuckle. I keep going over this ringing birds because it's, again, hardest thing we've got to do. And something we must do. We've got to ring all those birds and register them with BBC. After breeding season, fill all your forms and then send them off to the BBC office and register all your birds. This is the only way we're going to be able to keep British birds in the future, is to register all birds that we breed. I'm taking them all out at nest here at once, which you shouldn't really do. Angle 1 chick at a time, but I'm just showing you all chicks, variation in sizes. See that one, it makes us a lot bigger. Them's 3 young blackbirds. That's dog cocaine and good bath. You're enjoying that. Back again. Nothing more pleasurable than seeing a bird bath. Fair enjoyed itself. This is a cinnamon blackbird hen. We have quite a few mutations blackbirds now. So we grizzles, cinnamons, these creams. There's quite a few on short bench. It's nice to see all these different mutations. That's a young grizzle cock. So I usually catch them up and put them in cages, and then hen goes to nest again. That's the young hen in top, just a fraction more white and a bit lighter colour. I put them out at aviary then to molt out. I find once where the young birds keep them steady, after you catch them they're steady anyway. This is another favourite of mine, red starts. This is old cock red start. Sat looking what's going off with camera there. Red start hen. Beautiful dainty bird. Be nice to see these back on the shore bench. You were a big loss when we lost these off at the shore bench in '81. That's red start hen looking at nest, wondering what to do, whether to go in and feed. Pick it up and away at camera all the time. So these are just basically fed. I do use a lot of multivitamins, 4C products. I feel in soft stockings a lot, these multivitamins that is out market now really does benefit these type of birds that needs more proteins. And I think that's where a lot of success in keeping soft will come from, is added vitamins added to the water. Easily fed. 3 or 4 drops twice a week, mix them in your water and go through all your birds. They do a complete range of proteins, vitamins and vegetable matter. This is red start hen again, weighing all things up. They're going out at nest site now, so that's hen, that's cock. He's looking. A bit more cautious. Beautiful cock with red breast, white cap. There's 4 young red starts there. That's a side, isn't it? This is last chick to be rung. Others have all been rung. This got little tint nest, which I left white last. Still a bit big, but I just managed to get ring on it. Again, just these red starts, mealworms, insectic food, all Uxor Klaus, and vitamins. When the young red starts, you have got to be really heavy on vitamins. They do tend to go eye. That's with lack of vitamins. So when you have some young red starts, really be keen with giving them that extra protein and vitamins. That's the biggest problem we have with soft bills. Unless you're really on top of it and really hard feeding them, they do seem to go off with bad eyes. Years since we used to feed something called Avian, which was for babies, but now there's far more advanced multivitamins, especially for birds. This is red start hen enjoying a bath. Cock sat there. Young ones just have left nest here and just starting feeding. That's a young red starts here. Very much like a young robin, aren't they? But more frail and dainty. They're just like nest site just into the sun. There's 3 or 4 nest sites in this area, and they have picked one that's just into the sun, not quite shaded. We're going on to now probably colourfish finch we keep, bullfinch cock. This has been a nice showbird, been doing a bit of winning. Paired him up to my best hen. Nice head and nice colour. Nice clean cut face markings. Nice bib. Nice typey bird. Typey bird in bullies is one of the most important things when you're looking for a showbird. He's sat there enjoying a bit of sunflowers here. Only way you can get birds to sit still for cameras to give their favourite food. That's him again, having a fly round. Shame that they kill these in orchards. They are a beautiful thing. And of course we all know bullfinch hen are used for hybrinising. Most people always want bully hens to try and cross with bullies and goldies and linnets, linnet bully and red ball bully and canary bully. We've been fortunate to see some beautiful canary bullies and especially one red ball bully in recent years. That's bully hen and nest. What roots. They build a nest on roots, and I put coconut matting in. They seem to like that type of thing, dried roots. Bully hens are really prolific egg layers. You'll get a bully hen to start off and she usually lay a lot of eggs. Biggest problem is rearing young ones. When they get to 5 or 6 days old, it seems with cocks drives hens to nest again. So you have to be able to control that cock's most important thing, because it's hen that does all work in rearing and sitting, and cock seems to do all damage. He drives hen to nest again at that period. So I'll sometimes take cock away and put him in a cage inside aviary. It's got to be inside the hen on nest or restrict his flights with his wings. Especially with a young cock. You get an old cock, occasionally he'll settle down and he'll be a really good feeder. This is me just checking eggs here. I've done old eggs again 3, but you can see there's one, different fertility there. We aren't even looking them up. There were 1 full egg and 2 clear if you look here. See, that's fertile egg. Can you see how shaded colour it is? So then I know it's really a waste of time that hen sitting on 1 fertile egg. If another hen comes that she hasn't got a lot of full eggs, I will transfer them and let them go to nest again. That's the only reason I really angle eggs with. This is a young bully being wrong here. This is bully hen attached in same flight. Actually, I put some young eggs, some young bullies in with this pair, and she reared a few young bullies here. That's for ringing them and putting them back. These are young bullies just a bit older. Young bullies are very much like adult hens. Cocks don't get the red plumage while they're first molt. Don't get the black cap and the blue back. That looks like a nice bird, probably turned out to be a young cock. All are strange. Bullfinches are bred, nearly all are turned out to be more cocks than hens. We're going to goldfinches now. These are the first nest of goldies. 2 parents there being fed here, and then 3 young ones on the left hand side. These are the first nest. Cocks trying to draw attention with hen, wanting to feed. She's more interested to see what young ones are doing. Easy sexing goldfinches. Some people have had problems, but look for grey on top of the beak, on the end. Blaze not as far forward, smaller blaze, and generally a smaller bird altogether. As well on butts, and as a brown cast on butts and a cockers, nearly all black butts on wings. Them's 3 easiest way how to sex goldies. Goldies are people's most favourite finch that they keep. Understand that with bright red blaze and goldy wings. They call them 7-coloured linnet, but I could never find 7th colour. Ideal bird for muling with. Some beautiful goldy mules come out of goldy cocks. These turn out to be 3 nice young goldies, 2 hens and a cock. These first nests turn out to be. There's a hen again on a second nest. Afraid it's not a very good shot. It was in shade and back another fly, but this is hen sat on some more eggs on the second nest. And just make out outline of her. We're coming to its shed now. Just its canary hens are starting to sit. Few young ones just actually you can see with chickweed in cage. That's the mealy rat pole crossed Norwich canary, the yellow variegated hen. Got some eggs there here. She's just due to start sitting. 3 eggs laid. Usually laid to 4 to 5 eggs. They're always fertile though with mules. Probably Retpole mules are one of the hardest mules to breed. That's a goldie. Get up to a clear Norwich hen. These go on to breed mules. A lot of people can't understand what you breed mules for. With mules not being able to breed again, some people think it's end of line. But anybody who's kept mules and bred mules and know how fascinating it is. All you're trying to do when you're breeding mules is to get 2 birds and improve on them. And as you'll see, there's some beautiful yellow and goldy mules being shown. You get it best 2 things out of 2 birds. Colour and style and brightness out of 1 bird, and size and type from other bird. And you put these together to produce a mule. All good mules should show the both parentage. These are going down to some satinets, canaries. These I've been crossing years with Norwich canaries. Eventually I hope to breed some large satinet mules. There will be hens, but we've up to press we've not seen no large satinet mules. And these are just satinet new colours crossed Norwich. It's going on to make egg food. Hard boiled egg. Boil for 10 minutes. Let eggs cool down. It's important you let eggs cool down. If you start to mix them up when they're still soft, you'll finish up munching the eggs up and all your egg food will go wrong. Take shells off. Safe shells. That's probably the most important thing. If they're safe shells, put them in window right oven and dry them out. I sometimes peel white off. and then feed them to your birds. That's best feed there is, calcium. Stops all your soft shell and everything. Then I put them into a mince grinder or any sort of food grinder. You can even use a fork just to cut them up. Try not to munch them up, try to cut them up. Put them through mincer or any sort of grinder will do. If you only got a few birds, one egg is ample. Just to mix with a fork. Then I add Farley's Rusk baby food. Any sort of biscuit will do. Anything with high protein. I'm looking for things with high protein. With British birds you want extra protein, more than what you do with canaries. This egg food will be probably a bit too rich to canary fancies, but we'll go with British. I find this very, very successful. That's Farley's Rusk. Then I put just generally any egg food, CD or Ace egg food or any egg food, about the same amount of hard-boiled egg as egg food. Then I put some added protein again. This is bodybuilding protein. This is made from skid milk, just skin waste like. And I put a heap spoonful of that. Then I put two or three drops wheat germ and coliver oil mixed. I think coliver oil and wheat germ is essential. That again helps to stop egg binding. I never have no problems with soft shell and egg binding. That's for using eggshells and coliver oil. Mix it all up. Fresh every day. If you have a lot of chicks hatching, sometimes twice a day. Then I feed soak seed. Basic ingredient to soak seed is easy soak seed. Then I add extra sunflower, safflower, groats, mung beans. Soak for a couple of days. You can let it sprout, but I just let it soak. I find this is like wash thoroughly. That's the most important thing. Soak your seed a couple of days and wash thoroughly. You can sprout it. There probably is more feeding value in sprouted seed, but I've always just soaked it. Finger drawers. And soak seed. That's my basic rearing. This I put in with as much chickweed as I can gather within reason. I turn the chickweed over twice a day to so as any chickweed seeding heads that's underneath comes out the top. It's seeding heads you want in chickweed. Bird eats white or when it rhymes off gold. Seed heads. It's not leaves that birds eat, it's seeding heads. So when you're picking your chickweed, make sure it's ripe and got seeding heads on. There's no much real feeding value in just greens. It's seeds in chickweed you want to be collecting. And I feed that to all my birds, canaries and my British outside as well. This going on again to some canary feeders. I only use feeder canaries and Mules. I don't set out to take eggs out of Avery and put them under canaries. I only do it same as in reptiles. Sometimes you'll get them at 6 or 7 eggs, and I find that's too many for a chick. For chicks for enter rear. 3 or 4 is ample. So if I've got a nest in flight with us 6 or 7 eggs, I usually take 2 or 3 eggs out and put them under canaries. And then I might get a nest of 4 outside the area and a nest of 2 or 3 under canaries. I find canaries will rear British alright if they're being fed well and used to feed. I do mixed nests as well. I do put like 1 canary, 1 mealy and 1 bully, or 1 greenie in different nests like. I don't always put all the same species in the same nest. I do try and get the size right. It don't really mean age, it's size. If you get a young bird that's struggling in a nest in a flight outside, I will take rattling out and put it in a nest inside shed with the same size chicks in shed. Them young mealies being well stocked up there, crops really bulging out. This is satinette canary. He's going on to broods here. Settles down and content with nest is built. This goes on to a siskin male pair. This is not an ideal bird for breeding mules with. It's just a border hen that was spare, so I put a siskin cock to see if siskin cock would breed. We find they make good feeders. Didn't produce any siskin mules by the way, but entered that to be a fairly good feeder. Chicks again that's just at 2 or 3 days old. I always think keeping canaries is fairly easy. You don't get problems and temperaments with canaries as you do with British birds. You can expect to breed canaries. You can't always expect to breed British. The British take far more coaching, but they're far more satisfying when you do breed them established strains. And to keep that strain going, I always say people that succeeds with British side of hobby, some of the best bird keepers in country. You can go and breed 100 canaries, but to go and breed 20, 30 British, you're really top at bird keeping. It's nice keeping canaries if you wanted to produce big numbers, but if you wanted to produce quality and variation in a new task, British is a ideal bird to keep. These are young greenies here, cinnamons and normals. Canary feeding these again. As I say, I don't set out to use feeder canaries. I only use them there as a backup to my main breeding birds out at Avery, or breeding birds in cage. Some young greenies and reptiles that's being bred in cages this year. That's a young Isabel actually. Looks cinnamon, but it's a young Isabel. Nice big nestful there, just starting to feed up there. There's another nest odd reptiles in, being fed. Make a lot of noise, young reptiles are being fed. This young cock, if I remember rightly, goes on to make a good show bird. Usually with British, they're not quite as good if they're canary reared as if they're parent reared in aviaries, but that young reptile there that's just been shot turns out to be a fairly good winner and wins quite a few shows, so it should develop on. They do take a bit longer to develop when they're being canary reared. Would you do find that? This was another mixed nest. This is a young mealy, and this turns out to be a young green finch chaffinch hybrid that's being fed now, and a young mealy in the background there. So they're all oddments, just odds in nest I put again, and this is a green Norwich type hen. And she's feeding these two odds and ways and strays as good as anything. Turns out to be a young mealy cock, and they say a green finch chaffinch hybrid. These are 4 young golden Mules. Turned to be 3 yellows and a buff in this nest. And these are as nice as golden Mules as you'll see. Beautiful examples. See bright colour on yellows there. That's a yellow on wire. One underneath is a buff, and the other 2 are yellows. One of these turns out to be a really good bird, I think. I've been very fortunate past me to have some beautiful golden Mules, a couple of national winners. Been very fortunate with golden Mules. These are nice. Rather pleased with these. You can see potential there in colour. Nice big bold birds, big broad heads, plenty of bulk and size, big frame birds. And these birds will mature on to be really nice birds. Golden Mules is probably the nicest colourful male and commonest male that we do exhibit. This is interesting. This is a young bully and a young mealy. Now some people find it hard to rear bullies underneath canaries, but this is a young bully that successfully rears. People say it's the gape and the colour, but you can see actions on this young bird. It is a lot unsteadier than mealy, but you see canaries coping with that all right. And this canary rears these 2 odd birds, same again, just oddments with canaries, and that's a young bully that's gaping up eyes and a young male in the same nest. So bullies can be reared with canaries, say. So same pair later on, mealy's grown up, and that's bully just starting to pick up. Which turns out to be a bully hen. Going on to siskins now. Siskin cock on seed dish. Nicely coloured siskin and bib. A nice yellow hen there, see a well laced hen, a lot of back in colour. That's what we're looking for in a nice siskin. Could be a bit better type and a bit broader head, but you generally find a yellow bird are not quite as typey as a buff bird. Sometimes run these in trios. Colony birds like these, reptiles, linnets, siskin, goldies, you can successfully run 2 or even 3 hens with one cock. A nice cock again there you see with nice flank markings, good rich colour, bib, a nice cap, typey enough bird. Picking hemp out here, cracking hemp. They always like the hemp and niger seeds. This is inside a pen. This is not an area, this is inside pens here. That's the other end that's coming to shot. Siskin nest. Got 3 eggs there, so she's just coming down to brood. Being a bit nervous with being there with camera. She's built in a seed dish actually, clipped onto the front of wire. Bit of leyland cover there that's dried away a bit. These are nice birds for beginner, very friendly, very tame birds, nice character. Any beginner wants to try and acquire a pair of siskins if they can. Colourful as well. This short's 2 ends together, so you're going on fairly well. Type of bird that does a lot of feeding. 2 hens will feed and 2 cocks will feed. They're like reptiles. Don't think because you've seen them feeding that they are a true pair. That friendly type of bird is a siskin. They'll feed anything. Basic feeding one another though is basically down to condition. That's cock, so you're paying attention to hen and feeding. Hen showing him welcome, flapping the wings. Sitting down and brooding again. This is young siskin just hatched. There's 2 in this nest that just hatched. You just briefly see them a minute. Hatched this day. You can just see them all in there, see. These are some young siskins when they've been took away from parent birds. Some of them just started molting. There's a young cock just coming through there. Same as bullfinches, young siskins are very much like hens. They don't have the cap and they have the end markings. But that's the first one on the right, it's a young cock just showing his colour through. Another cock on back there, say. Them young fake siskins. That one's nearly completed molting out at first nest here. Enjoying a bath. We go on now to chaffies. It's a chaffie hen. Some young just feeding. These I would strongly advise to just put a pair in each aviary. And as well, as soon as your young ones are old enough to feed themselves, is to take them away from adult birds. That's cock can be very aggressive to young birds. They do regurgitate first 3 or 4 days, and then they carry the live food in the beak, chaffies. So basically I'm saying feed again. Always keep mealworms there all the time for the own birds, and then they'll feed them. But you will see them first 3 or 4 days regurgitate, chaffies. This chappy hen, you find that a lot, it's plucked its feathers off its flanks. When they're lining the nest off, they do seem to pluck feathers off them. I don't think they pluck the feathers to line nest, it's the condition. They pluck the feathers occasionally off the flanks in fitness. But they do line the beautiful line nest out, and part of lining is feathers. It's a nice chappy cock, come blue beaks here, breeding condition. He's sat there, wondering what end bobbing up and down away at the camera. In shorebirds, you want a rich pork colour in a chaffinch. A lot of people think you want a bright red colour like a bullfinch. You don't. The colour's a very sort of strange colour, and it's what we refer to as a pork colour. Same again with type and size, but you want a pork colour. And on a chappy hen, olive green, devoid of any white bib or any white breast markings, olive green. Very rare you see a really good chaffinch colour. But that's a nice coloured chappy cock. That's an ideal coloured chappy cock. If you can try and shade a colour. I know it's very hard with colouring, but it wants to be a rich pork colour for a short chaffinch cock. Come on now to twice. These birds are very attentive. These seem to have a really strong pairing bond. A cock will be very protective to its hen, and even with mules, you pair a twite cock to a canary hen, he'll be very attentive to his hen, always showing affection and wanting to be fed. Again, twites breed quite freely. They breed in mixed areas as well. Some people come to a mountain linnets. That's probably what they are in wild, but in captivity we refer to them as twites. They're not a brightly coloured bird, not like a bull and a goalie, but they do have their own character and their own nice nature. But when you're into keeping birds, it's not colour of bird, it's quality of bird that you type and your various things you look for in a standard that's laid down. So anybody that keeps birds don't reflect because it's a bright colour like a bullfinch. It's better than a reptile or a twite. In fact, probably twites are in more demand than a bullfinch actually, from people inside of it. Twites again are easy to read underneath canaries. Going through it showing stand again, it's that richness of colour and then flank markings you're looking for. Type as well again, and size, a good top end on, a good shoulder and top end on a twite, which is very rare you see that. Twite mules do make a nice exhibit bird because you do get that bit more richness of colour more than a linnet mule, which in most cases they are in the same class or similar looking type of bird. That's a twite nest there. She sat there with some chicks, and we sat there with camera for hours, and actually we had to abandon this. She just wouldn't come to feed, and there were chicks. That's a twice nest. Them's twice. Them's a bit older here. Parent up left hand side and just a couple of young ones there. They're just feeding themselves, them twice. But they're still just squawking after parent birds. They're just ready to take away. I usually take them away from parents at that age. These will go on to 2 or 3 nests easy twice. Once you get the hen paired up and laying, they'll keep going. That's another twice, I think, cut corner. Next here, you see, there's a young mealy reptile there just come out at nest. See how short its tail is. Sharing the same birds, joining neighbours here. Oh, this is a bird. This is an Orphan's cock. This is a bird we used to show in quite a few numbers. Now, alas, we can't show. It's the biggest finch that there is. I know that we experience when they get hold of your finger end, they come out with some verbal abuse. They've really strong beaks. When you catch them up and they get hold of you, my God, don't you know it? This is an Orphan's cock. I had it paired with hen, but it did show a hell of a lot of aggression with hen. Hen wasn't quite fit enough, so I had to abandon this pair breeding. Hen wasn't fit enough. You can see he's come really blue beak. This is going on to bramble. This is a bit unusual. This is an unusual bramble cock with a pied head. Brambles make really good shorebirds. Yeah, bird, it's advisable to keep just a pair in one aviary. They're not the type of bird to mix with other birds. They're part insectivorous, and they are territory birds. They have a beautiful courtship when they're displaying. Very unusual, very beautiful when you see them. A good bramble cock has some really nice markings, striking colour and flank markings and spangling and V marks on its back. There's a lot of things to look for in a good bramble cock. A brambling or a bramble finch, whichever you want to refer to them. Very hardy bird, live a good age. You can expect to have a bramble for 6 or 7 years, even longer. If you're breeding these, you've got to be patient with them. You've got to be patient of time. This bramble hen does go to nest, but we're unsuccessful in rearing chicks. That's where the nest is there. Just can't see it. Just see her head out of sight there. Go on and now to linnets. This is a pair of linnets. Nice cock actually, furthest away. That's cock there and in foreground. Great nice lace cock. It's not quite showing his type. He's crouching a bit with light and camera. But this is a nice example linnets. Nice, well laced, and a nice cone shape. Linnets are ideal bird for muling with as well. Probably the second easiest bird to mule with besides behind a goldfinch. They aren't ideal cage birds. They are a tendency to be a bit unflighty. That is the nature like. But you've got to allow for that in linnets. But they are a long-living bird again. You get a nice linnet cock that sings. You get him singing. He'll sing freely, and it is a beautiful song, a linnet. Again, in a shorebird, we're looking for that colour and them lacings, corn shape, good top end on it. Mix freely. You can put them in a mixed aviary. They don't show very little aggression to other birds, so they're an ideal bird to begin with because they mix freely. Pair of linnets. Cock's starting to relax a bit now, see, now he's showing his type better. Here's some young linnets. 2 young linnets. Same again as siskins and golders in pate feather. They don't get the full mature feather while they have the first moult. These turned out to be a pair. You can just see it, white flight feathers in that first bird. That's a cock and hen. That's the best way how to tell them. And then when they get the full colour, you'll see a moon shape on the breast in the feathers, like a moon shape, half moon shape in the breast. That's how to sex a linnet. Fairly hardy. They don't suffer from many diseases. Fairly hardy. You got some mealworms then, Barry?
Yep, I've brought you some minutes today, Derek. These are about a third of the size of normal mealworms.
They keep getting a bit bigger though, them. And them rats now down. No down amongst them.
No, that's how we always send them out. I'm afraid there's a few of them. When we send them in the post, there's always a few that get overheated. But when I bring them to you like this, obviously it's easy to get them perfect. Regular mealworms are about 3 times as big as that. And your giant mealworms are about 3 times as big as your regular.
And you've got these giants breeding all right now then?
Yeah, no problems at all. What sort of birds would you feed your giants to?
Very few. Odd jays and magpies may take them, but I generally find these minis are ideal for type of birds like you for mealies and small soft bills for red stars and wheaties and that kind of thing. Buffalo worms are alright for tidbits, which you do a few of them, don't they, as well? I don't feed a lot of buffalo worms, but the first 4 or 5 days they hatch, I feed a few buffalo worms then. And then crickets I find a nice like. There again, just tidbits. Blackbirds, them white blackbirds and cinnamon blackbirds, I usually start them up as well like. But the basic feed is mealworms. There's no disease with them, they're always healthy, and I think they're good value for money. Like. I save a lot of collecting other wild food, and all I ever feed is just mealworms.
Well, of course, they're a lot more reasonable in price than buffalo worms, and of course, they travel so much better. If people buy buffalo worms from the post, it's so difficult to keep, they get so hot, and they eat their way out of the boxes, and it's always a problem, and much more expensive. So, you'll find that for most of the time, mini mealworms are the answer to...
Ideal for finches that we feed, yes, ideal, yeah.
And how do you decide how many mealworms you're going to feed?
If you're feeding young ones, it's study them all the time, as much as they can eat. You will find as well, if you put some mealworms in, they may not eat them for a fair long period of time. As young ones get older, parents will start to feed them. So if somebody buys some mealworms from you and puts meal on them and they don't eat them, keep persevering, keep mealworms there all the time, because you find that birds will come on to eating mealworms eventually.
That's right.
So a lot of people put mealworms on, then say the bird's not eating them, but it's not time for when bird wants to eat them itself, right? So you must keep mealworms on.
And do you find a specific need for the regular mealworms as opposed to the minis, particular birds?
Regulars are a bit cheaper, so I generally feed regulars to thrushes and blackies and that type of thing in jays. And I usually keep minis to bullies, mealerette balls, siskins, lesserette balls. Bullies occasionally eat them, twice, very occasionally eat them as well, like an old softbill, red stars and wheat deal and all the other softbills and all eat them. And it would be really nice, they always seem to pick white ones. It would be really good if we could breed them with a soft skin with white ones. These white ones. I know a time ago I've asked you about this, you always seem to laugh and say,
well, I've given a lot of thought to it, Derek, but you see the problem is the white ones that are white now, in 3 hours' time, they're going to be golden. So if I sent a sample of mealworms out that were totally white, by the time they arrived to where they were going, they'd be totally brown. So it's an ongoing thing. It's part of the breeding process. And to halt that, we'd probably have to use some sort of chemical method. And that, if we start playing about with chemicals, you're risking damaging your birds again, aren't you?
One good thing, since you started doing this, most of the mealworms now that sell are all bred in this country, where before they were all imported. So I suppose you've done one good thing to British prestige.
Well, we do our best. Plus, you're getting the freshness. It's people who buy these worms do tend to find that they can keep them longer. Do you have any problems keeping your worms?
Very rare. You mustn't put them in some though, and don't overeat them. When you get them, take them out and put them in a low dish. Don't put them more than an inch and a half thick. Yeah, that's important. And keep them out of the sun. If any is lost, odd times I've rushed in and put them on window, and I have lost all. That's been my fault. Keep them in shade and don't put them more than an inch and a half thick.
So in other words, keep them cool and keep them sharp. Yeah. That's pretty well what we instruct people to do, and I think so long as they can do that, there's no reason why people can't keep mealworms for 4 or 5 weeks, is there? You did mention crickets. How do you feed your crickets without losing a lot and getting your place infested?
Well, I put them on water. When I'm going to feed them, I put half into a dish of water, about inch water, so they can't jump. There's no pressure to jump off the water. And then a few more, I put them in a high side of dish, about 6 or 7 inches dish like that. When they first put them on water, they just float, they don't move, but birds get used to that and pick them up.
But you don't slow them down by cooling them off in your fridge.
But it's usually summer when I'm feeding it, right? So within 10 minutes of the back to the office. But I find them really good. I find them good.
It's particularly if you get something that you're having difficult.
Something having problems hearing.
Yeah. You don't think that there's any requirements as far as the bird trade is concerned for these new supergiant mealworms that you've started doing?
Well, I suppose there would be with variation in big birds and jays and magpies, but I couldn't imagine a little lesser ball picking a mealworm as big as itself and eating it.
Yeah, they are big. But the advantage to them, the only thing that I thought might make them attractive is like the buffalo worms, they wriggle very quickly. More quickly than our own giant mealworms. But they are certainly big. Have you found it more convenient since we started handling these multivitamins, Derek?
Yes, very. Yeah, very good these I find. Very good. All these are all range OCV.
That's OCV, that is the multivitamin, it's the best seller. Do you apply that all year round?
I feed that 12 months out of the year, yes, all the time. I feed it twice a week, 2 days a week.
And the OC Phytol there, that's the what they call the green vitamin, which is supposed to eliminate the need for feeding green stuff through the winter. Do you find that works?
That's basically the most convenient thing there is. It's all in a bottle, and I simply just squeeze it into water. And all through winter, I have no greens to find at all. I just feed cheap weeding breeding season in the pot. Rest of the year I feed no weeds, no vegetables, anything.
Very convenient.
All vitamins and everything that birds get out of natural type of food are all in a bottle. So it winter when it's frosty and cold, you get your vegetable matter there all the time in a bottle.
OC Mule. Now that's vitamins and amino acids for molting birds, isn't it?
This time of year I do feel that a bit extra, and that's as well. All mixed, all 3 or 4 together, all together.
Slightly unpleasant smell to that one.
Yes, it
The amino acids have got a sulfur base, but it's the sulfur that smells. Now the OC choline there, that's particularly effective. It's a preventative for enteritis and hepatitis, isn't it?
Yes, that's a problem that we find with feeding type of birds that we keep. They get a bit too fat, excess weight, and that helps enteritis, to combat enteritis, and that's the biggest enemy. Birds going off with enteritis. So that's really a must. I don't feed it quite as much in showing season. Because I'm trying to put weight on birds to show, but after Christmas time when I finish showing, I feed a lot of that.
And how do you apply? Do you apply all those together when you...
I mix all those together. I just simply fix my feeding bottle up and just put all recommended dosages on. It's all simple, all the same, and I just mix it all together. Oxycholine. Notice it. Under tap and just simply go down the water. Easiest thing anything there is.
And for the enteritis, the hepatitis, enteritis, that's your preventative, but what about when you get more serious cases?
When you go more on the antibiotics, we tetramis and auramis and different antibiotic groups. That's the thing that's, you've got to get more aware of these problems with enteritis. The first really sign is that bird starts to sit a bit soft, it swells up on back of its head. And when you catch bird up, catch it up and blow on its back on its bend, and you'll see it start to swell red.
Yeah.
And then it turns to blue and inflame, and then your bird starts to lose weight and it swells and stuff. So if you get antibiotics on early enough, just terramycin, that's should be a good trick line. But that sometimes leads on to going live. Ancastosis and coccidiosis. Well, I send away for these antibiotics, and this oxycoxolid is really good line.
That's for coccidiosis.
Yes.
And the other things I noticed you must have sent away for those as well, the oxymycin.
Yes.
What?
I feed these to young birds. When I take young birds away from adult birds, put them on this all the time, about 4 or 5 drops to a small drinker, and then when birds have started to moult, I stop feeding. As well, this oxymycin, this is for egg sac infection, E. coli, and this is something that's really come to light in recent years. And it's a bacteria that adult ends. And this bacteria is passed on through embryo, through egg and through embryo into chicks. And chicks die at 5 to 7, 8 days old. And you can usually tell when they've died with egg sac infection that the food doesn't stop in the crop and the smell after they've died. Yeah. And I treat this about February, March time. And you get really better success. You lose very few chicks in nests. There's only one lot of chicks I've lost this year, and this was an area which I didn't feed this. All the rest of the birds I fed this, and I've lost no chicks of egg sac infection.
So in other words, you're preventing mortality in the nest by treating the breeding birds in advance.
Yes,
I understand. I notice you've got a wormer there as well.
yes, worming as well, yeah. That's something that very few people do is worm. British birds, and I worm twice a year. It as well, it helps to clear urine crystals on bent as well, and some birds have bad probably build up a urine crystal on bent, and worming pepperizome as part of that one.
I understand. I notice last bottle you've got there is a caracal.
To mix this colourful red berry, just simply fill this cap at 3/4 full. That's how much I mix. And then I get kettle. And I put 1/4 inch of cold water in kettle first. Put my colourful red ready. And I let that soak overnight in cold water. Then 12 hours after, I get kettle, boil it up. And then I mix it in. When it's boiled, mix that in, fill it up, let it cool. That's important, let it cool. And then I dilute that amount, nearly a full cup, into 4 of these bottles. And then I mix it up so it's all mixed equal. Then I feed it to all birds. I feed it to mules and ibis mainly, and red and brown based birds. Mules, reptiles, brambles, chappies, linnets twice, and you have to keep cover rate of that. Siskins and goldies, greenies, and birds green colour that brand. I don't feed any at all. As well, when you let it, when you're feeding it, it's important to mix this fresh every day. That's one of the most important things, to get a good even colour on your meals. You want to make it fresh every day.
We come on after breeding season. Most of the birds in shed now are young birds, which have caught up out of flight to allow second and third nest of young birds room to grow on. So first and second nest of young birds are usually in the shed. We usually then start selecting them, steadying them down. These are 3 cages full of young bullies there. Some young mealy reptiles in this pen here. Catch them up to keep a keen eye on them. Any that starts running off with Lancastosis or enteritis, you can usually pick your problems up a lot early if you've got them in pens or cages in front of you, then treat them accordingly. When they start to moult, or just before they start to moult, then I put them out in aviaries, but by then my breeding's finished with, and I've moved my adult pairs out into mixed aviaries, and I put all young birds out in aviaries together. I try not to have a crowd of young birds. That is a problem. If you've had a good breeding season, you still overcrowd them, because they don't seem to take to that of overcrowding. You do tend to lose a few if you put too many in a pen. So it's important to spread your birds out what you've bred. We go through some more pens there, Amelias. Some cinnamons in that pen there, see. Done quite well with Mealworms and cinnamon reptiles this year. There's 40 odd Mealworms and about a dozen cinnamons, which without problems we've had this summer has been very good. Thanks to Robert and June. Very active and playful bird Mealworms are. This is down into probably, this is earliest nests, which coming through look for some nice young ones. Some of these are well through mouth here. You'll see they're showing the lacings and baby type. Some nice big thick set birds there. Most northern birds have a very early molt, and some of these Mealworms are through here. What I usually do when they finish molting is select my best birds for showing, my worst birds to disperse of. Some people may say I keep worse, as we said, and disperse at best. Then I usually put young hens out in aviary, try not to show them, and select a few young cocks to try and fatten up to show with. Try not to put too much weight on young hens, because they are the most important birds for next year. You can start to generally tell them with bib. Cock usually a darker bib and well defined. Hen usually have a brown cast on bib and occasionally have a white surround around bib, as well on cap. Hens, reptiles don't have a prominent red cap, and cap stands further back on hens than it does on cock. You get cheek markings as well on most cocks, but you do get odd cheek markings on hens. That's not a lot to go on. You do get a red rump in adult birds, but you don't get that red rump in unflighted birds. Red rumps is not an important factor as people think. That's a nice shot here. There's 2 or 3 winners amongst them. All these Mules now are breeding very much to standard and type. There's not much to pick between them all, and we're seeing more advance in Mealy reptiles in recent years than any other bird. Greenies and Mealies, a bird that's most advanced in type and quality, far superior now than what they used to be. Odd people will disagree. I've had some nice Mealies in the past, but I think Mealies I've got now on old are as good as any I've had in the past. It's only that people remember that odd bird from years since. A good friend, old Jim Horse, refers to a Mealy which was soft to my heart. These are going through some abnormal colour greenies in top cage. There's 3 or 4 cages full of silvers, Isabels, cinnamons, odd satinette. This next cage is some Mules and hybrids and linnet bully there, see. Golden male, little miniature males. These are some young twites, and young linnets. And the yellow hammer cock. And them young peg goldies. I'm just going to put these out any time now in April to molt. Few young yellow hammers. Colour feed yellow hammers. Sometimes I wonder, we call them yellow hammers, but still we make them into orange hammers. These are them young males molted through. They're nearly quite finished molting. You can just see a few pens round the face. That's a yellow here. That's another yellow. These are made big, dark, nice males. This comes to a long shot back garden. We all aviaries all around garden. Different size aviaries, fancy aviaries. But you all don't need big aviaries and big sheds to enjoy birds. You can get as much enjoyment out of a 6x6 shed and a 6x6 aviary in your back garden as anybody can with a big set of aviaries. Your enjoyment is in just a few birds at the bottom of the garden. Enjoy watching them breed, watching them pair up. And that's the most important thing in bird keeping, is your own personal satisfaction and enjoyment again something out of living, something living. You can appreciate a nice little aviary, few birds, probably more than a big aviary and a lot of birds. When you have a big aviary and a lot of birds, you have a lot of work to do. Introduce a really good friend of mine. We've known one another now for 15 or 16 years, Terry McCracken, who I consider to be best breeder and exhibitor in country at present time. How do you think of his development, Terry, since 1981 Wildlife Act, for a better or for worse?
Well, Derek, not many people are in favour of the Wildlife and Countryside Act, as you well know. But there's an old saying which goes something like this, that it's an ill wind that doesn't do anybody any good. And we've had a lot of positive outcomes since the introduction of the Wildlife and Countryside Act. For example, I know Finches, certainly in my area, who before the Act just kept a mixed collection of birds, didn't breed very many. Nowadays they're specialising in 2 or 3 different species, and they're breeding birds in quantity and quality.
Oh yes, tremendously. I mean, green is a mere reptiles, in your case, has proved its point without a doubt.
Another positive outcome from the implication of the Act is that we've seen the formation of new specialist societies. The Staffordshire one, for example, we've now got one in Lancashire. And look at Yorkshire, the one which you organise. It's booming at the moment.
Yes, yes.
We've had more entries than ever at the All British and certainly the Yorkshire British Bird and Aviary Club shows. Other societies are putting open shows on, so there's been a lot of positive outcomes from it.
Blackbirds in here, Terry. Cinnamon carrycock, pair of young grizzles, and a cinnamon hen from last year.
Very attractive birds, Derek, aren't they, these grizzles?
Beautiful, I think. Beautiful.
Yeah. I think we'll see a lot more of these in the future, you know.
Hope so. Very much hope so, like.
I think it's another bird which we can exhibit as well.
Yes, yes. So 4 young ones this year.
Very easy to keep and breed, Derek.
I find them very easy to keep. Very easy. Just pellets, it went through winter. And breeding season, just a few squats, mealworms, few crickets, and egg food. And the rear, fairly easy. Fairly easy.
Yeah, and also the long-lived birds as well, aren't they? 7 or 8 years, I would think, is no problem.
Yeah, pair of Mules in here, tell them.
Aye.
Fast nest, the young ones still get in.
Got a good season of Mules, haven't you?
Not so bad.
Aye.
Not quite as good as you.
You've had some of the nice, haven't they?
Yes.
There's a nice one there in top corner, Derek.
Yes, nice,
Like
nice
that.
bullies.
Yeah. Very promising, them, aren't they?
And there's some bullies in this next flight here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the rest, Derek?
Yeah, nice bib, Mike. Nice colour.
Yeah.
Nice bib on it. Then here, there's some mutation green finches.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a silver end there, see you? And a satin
I think they'll
exhaust.
come, these silvers.
Still, yeah, there's quite a lot of silvers about. These Isabels and satinettes are still to get strongly established, right?
Pretty birds, them silvers, aren't they?
Beautiful, mate. I'm surprised that you ain't getting
Yeah,
what
no.
it is.
I've enough of me on with normal, tell you the truth. But they are attractive birds. They are nice birds, yeah. Very nice, yeah. Yeah. Where's all these hedge sparrows, Derek?
That
Let's
many
have a look at
sparrows,
these
I don't know
sparrows.
where to put them
Oh,
on.
good, you better
That
go
many, I
40,
don't
50, haven't you?
No, not quite. There's about 35.
35.
Somewhere flying about, but you never see them.
Yeah,
As soon as you come, they're going back. Yes, that's the pair that's bred most of them in there.
Mm. Once again, them are long-lived birds, aren't they, hedge sparrows?
Yes, and they never seem to eat anything. You fill dishes up and they never seem to have it. If you have some greenies at next flight, greenies will clear tray, but hedge sparrows never seem to feed anything.
I once knew a lad who had 4 Lutino hedge sparrows, many years ago. It must be 30 years ago. A bloke called Jack Visit from Goulburn, near Wigan.
Well, these are all fawn carriers or fawn-like.
Yeah,
These are
beautiful birds. Beautiful birds, yeah. Very nice. So you've got a new aviary here, Eric?
Yes, Terence. This is aviary I started making at the beginning of the video. It's basically for breeding just straight British, solid concrete floor to stop
vermin, and it's been a fairly good breeding season in this area this year. I hope to make it a fraction larger on other side, but this is my opinion, ideal area.
Design's different, isn't it, from what I've seen in the past one?
Yes, but it passes down bigger. It needs a fairly big garden to take this type of aviary, but it suits
And
garden.
what have you actually bred in it?
Done very well. I bred some males again, red starts, siskins, and greenets. A nest, just one nest of greenets.
Yeah,
So
certainly.
it's been good, like.
Yeah, certainly a different design. But you've still got your safety forks in case any get out.
Safety forks and feeding.
Yeah, feeding, yeah. Different, yeah, I know.
There is some twice in here as well, which twice nested, and I lost the first nest, and the second nest, chicks were about 4 or 5 days old, and I made a decision to move them, right, so actually the partly bred some twice in as well, but canaries finished really twice.
What did the twice back in and won't start another nest or something like that?
I think now, Rick, cocks, that's a problem along with cocks driving empty nest again.
Yeah. Okay, there, let's have a look in this large plant today to see what you've got in there.
Finally, we come to the end of this videotape, hoping you've enjoyed it and admired my birds. I hope it may have helped a few people, beginners in hobby. I'd just like to thank Ian Johnson, who works video camera, who's at Oak Patience in Weld, Victor Carr, Peter Lander, Monty, Pete, Barry Hammond from Mealworm Company, Terry McCracken, and finally, wife June, and 4 kids. Thanks very much for watching it.
Once, half of the country was covered in vast forests of oak, birch, and pine. One small group of birds evolved as specialist feeders on this wealth of seeds and nuts. Today they continue to thrive in our modern fields, hedgerows, and last remnants of woodland. They are the finches, and each is perfectly adapted to deal with a particular type of food. The goldfinch and the siskin have fine, pointed beaks for nipping out thistle seeds. The greenfinch has a thicker beak for dealing with larger seeds like those found in hips and even ripe sunflower heads. The bullfinch specializes in nipping out the developing flower buds of fruit trees, while the strange beak of the crossbill is uniquely adapted to winkle out seeds from deep within fir cones. But for sheer size and strength, nothing compares with the beak of the hawfinch. It's the most impressive of a group of birds that demonstrate real bill power. There are just 10 species of finch that regularly occur and breed in the British Isles. In the spring, one of the most brightly coloured creates havoc in our gardens and orchards. The bullfinch feeds extensively on the flower buds of fruit trees, such as the apple, plum, and pear. Every flower that's eaten is a fruit lost. The female bullfinch, although less brightly coloured, is just as destructive as her mate. Between them, they can strip a tree bare at a rate of 1 bud every second. Bullfinches can be a serious problem for fruit growers. Large numbers have been shot or poisoned quite legally in an effort to control their numbers. Some fruit growers are licensed to use decoy traps to reduce the ravenous flocks of bullfinches. A tame male finch sings inside the cage in order to lure others of its kind inside the trap. In recent years, however, it's become less necessary for man to reduce bullfinch numbers. Sparrowhawks find these finches easy prey among the bare branches of the orchard. Sparrowhawks were wiped out in many parts of the British Isles, a direct result of the use of pesticides such as DDT by farmers. These chemicals are no longer in use, and in recent years there has been a sharp increase in the numbers of sparrowhawks. They're so effective in controlling the bullfinches that in many parts of Britain it's no longer necessary to shoot or trap them. Many finches were trapped for a different reason. Their bright colours and tuneful song made finches, especially linnets, popular cage birds in Victorian times. Linnet Terrace in Chatteris, Cambridgeshire, was built on the proceeds of selling the birds for a penny each. Finches are found in a variety of habitats, from woodland to gardens. With the arrival of spring, their familiar songs fill the air as they set about finding a mate. A male chaffinch sings from the top of a spruce tree. Nearby, a female responds. This submissive posture is a prelude to mating. The female collects moss to make her nest. The main structure is made from both moss and dry grass. Once the shape is complete, she collects spiders' webs to bind the material together. She constantly settles down in the nest to form a cup. Then more sticky silk web is smeared on the sides before the lining of horsehair and feathers. Her eggs will hatch in about 2 weeks' time. May is a hectic time for the birds. These hawfinches are busy feeding their newly hatched chicks. These secretive birds, like chaffinches, feed their young on a diet of insects, even though the adults themselves feed mainly on seeds. This high-protein diet speeds up the growth of the chicks, but means more frequent visits to the nests. The female does take time out to brood her offspring. The hedgerows around the house provide a home for a family of goldfinches. The goldfinch collects seeds in its crop, then regurgitates them for its chicks. As they don't need to visit their nest so often, adult goldfinches can search a wider area for food. The garden is full of nesting finches. The bullfinch is rearing its young among the prickly stems of a dog rose. The greenfinch in the evergreen foliage of a Leylandii. It's a particularly messy nest. The adults make little effort to keep it clean. The gardens provide everything the birds need. A pond presents them with the ideal bathing place. Spending so much time in an untidy nest, the greenfinches need to bathe regularly. Like many seed-eating birds, finches also need to drink large quantities of water. The cock chaffinch watches, waiting for its chance to drink. In the orchard, the chaffinch eggs have hatched. The female feeds her chicks amid the developing pairs. A mate brings the chicks' insects and shares them out equally among the chicks. The open fields, gardens, and leafy lanes are a rich hunting ground for insect prey. The chicks grow rapidly, and in about 2 weeks they'll be ready to leave the nest. But these young chaffinches have a rather strange parent. Albinos and partial albinos have been regularly reported among finches, especially chaffinches, as they're the most common species. The chicks themselves are coloured normally, but their father's strange colour mutation could reappear in some future generation. The parents of the chicks in the pear tree are still hunting for insects. Their young are fully fledged now and ready to leave the nest. The adults will continue to feed them for the next few weeks until they become independent. Britain's roadside verges provide a rich source of food for seed-eating birds. In summer, goldfinches tease out the seeds of the thistle with their pointed beaks. They're adapted precisely for this purpose. The chicks follow their parents and beg for food. Although the adult finch feeds its chick, it is at the same time showing its offspring just how it should be using that very special beak. It's not long before the chick learns its first and very important lesson in life and begins to search for seeds itself. Roadside verges, if left alone, provide a valuable habitat for birds, insects, and small mammals. But all too often they are mown or sprayed with weed killer to keep them looking tidy and prevent them getting too overgrown. As well as the plants, many insects are killed. The birds lose a valuable food source. Failing hedgerows in summer would be even more. Many may have begun their second breeding season. The nests and their contents are completely destroyed. Finches also have to contend with many natural enemies. Magpies have increased in numbers dramatically recently. They're notorious egg thieves and pose a serious threat to finches and other songbirds. The destruction of our hedgerows is a great loss for birds and other animals. The hedgerows are removed to make bigger, more economical fields, but they provide the birds with a nesting place, food source, and safe flight paths, hidden from alert sparrows. But there are some recent farming practices that actually benefit the birds. Set-aside schemes can provide the finches with fields of wild flowers such as poppies. In late summer, such fields will produce large amounts of seed of different plants. Sunflowers are being grown more frequently as a source of vegetable oil. They also provide a welcome addition to the diet of birds such as the greenfinch. The specialized design of the bird's beak enables it to crack the seeds open with ease. They hang over the top of the flower and pull the seeds out one by one. By late summer, most of the birds have finished nesting and are beginning to lay down reserves of fat for the winter. The hawfinch has the largest and most powerful beak of the finch family. Here it's feeding on cherry stones that it cracks open to reach the nut inside with surprising ease. That beak, that looks as though it's made of stainless steel, exacts a force of over 60 pounds per square inch. The bird maneuvers the stone to locate the weakest spot, and then, crunch, it's open. Autumn brings a bounty of fruits and berries in the woodland and garden. A greenfinch, adept at opening sunflower seeds, now tears open a rose hip. Each seed is carefully manipulated, cracked, and its contents swallowed. Many gardens also provide a more artificial food source, but it wasn't until the 1960s that the first siskins reported to have learnt to feed from this type of peanut holder. The birds learnt fast. Now this is a common sight. The red nutbags may resemble one of their favourite natural foods, fir cones. There is one finch, though, that is in a class of its own when it comes to extracting seeds from a fir cone. These fine stands of Scots pine are its favourite habitat. The crossbill is aptly named. It's unique in that instead of the fine points of its beak meeting and acting like a pair of tweezers, its upper part of the beak actually crosses over to one side of its lower one. This strange design equips it perfectly for reaching deep inside a fir cone and pulling out a seed. Countless generations of birds trying to deal with this particular food source have resulted in the perfect design. Curiously, the chick hatches with a perfectly normally shaped beak. The crossbill doesn't develop until they've left the nest. A diet that consists entirely of dry pine kernels requires a lot of water, and the birds regularly visit small pools of water on the forest floor to take a drink. The crossbills have sacrificed a varied diet and are now adapted for only one specific seed, but it's a food source that's available to them all year round. As autumn gives way to winter, many species of bird have to fly south in order to find enough to eat. Chaffinches survive by being opportunists, feeding on a whole variety of nuts and seeds. The goldfinch relies on those plants whose heads stick out well above the snow. Teasels contain many seeds, but it takes the long, fine beak of the goldfinch to reach them. Dock is a favourite food of bullfinches. Their seed heads stand 3 or 4 feet above the ground and provide a readily available meal during the winter. Docks and teasels grow in profusion along our roadsides. If these were left rather than being sprayed or mown, then many birds that are destined to die of starvation would have a better chance of surviving. We can all help as individuals. A bird table not only helps the bird through the leanest time of year, but also provides us with an easy way of observing them at close quarters. Garden residents and winter migrants, including bramblings from Scandinavia, are attracted to a well-stocked table. Today, many species of finches are kept quite legally as cage birds by specialist enthusiasts. The birds are bred selectively for bright colours and immaculate plumage, but it's hard to imagine how you could improve on the appearance of the original.